And now, recorded in front of absolutely nobody in their subterranean recording studio deep in the bowels of the Cigar Club of Indiana, it's time for the Five Stones Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Five Stones Podcast. I am but one of your humble hosts today, Raymond Modulin, a.k.a. the Real Estate Monkey, and with me we have...
I am Joe Trester. I am the Real Estate Advocate.
Hey, Joe, guess what?
Colin is still out on assignment.
Well, that's point two.
Okay.
Point number one is welcome to Season 2. What the hell is that?
I don't know. Take a bath.
It's not Saturday, man. Welcome to Season 2, episode number 1 today. And today I wanted to talk about, I mistakenly bumped the TV last night and actually turned it on. Now, you know me, I typically don't watch a lot of TV, but my Roku went exactly to a channel on Reality Real Estate.
Those are definitely interesting shows.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how real that Reality Real Estate was. But it's funny, and I'm sure I don't even remember the name. There's hundreds of these. You know, the what was the one, Flipping Vegas?
Yeah, that was one of the first ones.
Yeah. And then there was one about a broker in New York, all kinds of stuff. So I thought today would be kind of interesting to talk about some of the reality of real estate and what it really means doing this. Now, first of all, once again, I'm still the same cigar. I still got the Maduro version of the AJ Fernandez New World. What do you got over there?
I have an AJ Fernandez as well. I honestly don't remember the name of it. It came in my bundle pack, but it's not bad. Not a bad smoke.
You're just a player, aren't you, with cigars?
Well, yeah, pretty much. You know,
you jump around.
I am. One
cigar never gets jealous when you have another cigar, right?
True. That's true.
I am the monogamist. I have probably, I could easily tell you that I probably only had maybe a half a dozen cigars over the last year that were not the AJ Fernandez, which, by the way, is not sponsoring this episode. So
but as much as you've spent on them, they ought to start calling them the Raymond Modulin.
I ought to have the Modulin wing over there. But I have digressed. So I hope it's a good cigar. Let me know. I do like the AJ Fernandez line. The reality TV show, the thing that I noticed about this one, and it was a rehab kind of show, it started the series or started this episode with, I bought this house and now here's what I'm going to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was kind of interesting that to me and you, as both licensed real estate professionals in the state of Indiana and a couple other states for us, that the interesting part led up to and I bought this house.
Yes.
Because that process can be a show in itself.
There's plenty of drama involved in that. People just don't know about that drama.
Yeah. So I was wondering, and I said to myself, because that's what I call me when I'm talking to myself, wouldn't it be kind of cool if you and I did a reality show about the process of the sale or the purchase that led up to his opening statement of, I bought this house?
Well, we both know that we have enough stories of crazy things that have occurred in that portion of the process. So we could definitely create some drama without having to come up with anything that didn't happen.
The drama kind of creates itself.
Yeah.
It is, I am amazed at the process. And you hear a lot of people that say things like, well, real estate agents just put a sign in the yard. You know, what good are they? I was born knowing all there is to know about real estate. I've sold bicycles.
I think I saw a real estate monkey video about that yesterday about,
Yes.
Real estate professionals don't do anything. They just put a sign in the yard.
I had a gentleman tell me years ago that he bought and rehabbed bicycles and sold them out of his garage. So that more than qualified him to sell his real estate. He didn't need a agent to help him. He said, well, I've been buying and selling bicycles for 20 years. So people are inherently born with the ability, I guess, to sell real estate.
Well, I think people think that is a spot where they can save some money. And I think if you view that as the spot where you save money, you end up losing money or spending money more than you should.
Remember in the movie Castaway where he had the bad tooth and he took the ice skate and knocked his tooth out?
Yep.
Bet he saved money on his dentist there, didn't he?
I bet he did. I bet he saved a lot of money.
And that's literally what they're doing when they don't use a real estate agent. You just put that skate up there and knock it out because, I'm saving money. So the reality, no pun intended, of a reality show would be very interesting to literally show that process of like day one where acquires a client all the way to, and we sold the house. So that guy can go, and I bought the house and did this. Because that process, there are probably 6 or 7 areas that shit could go wrong.
Well, and I will tell you that I think people believe that they can do that on their own because they watch these fictitious reality shows that show the process of the part that you probably could do on your own. You could probably learn how to patch a hole in the wall and change flooring, and you can certainly learn how to paint and change doorknobs and do things like that. And because they see that part and they view that as, quote, easy, which I still don't think it is, but people think that that's easy, and that's fine. This side of things is far more tumultuous than most people know. It is very rare that we start a process of buying or selling a home and have it go smooth for that.
Back up.
Yes, you used the word tumultuous.
What was that word?
Tumultuous.
It's a big word for a 10-year-old.
I actually went to schools that taught back in the day, unlike what we get now. So
where you actually learned English and real words and how to structure sentences. And
I know that seems sus or cap to use today's vernacular, but we actually learned real words and how to write and how to read and do all kinds of things.
And I bet you actually wrote cursive.
I did.
Yeah. So it would be cool to go through and look at that process from the lens of like a consumer so that they could actually get a true view of all of the things that could go wrong. It's a running joke with you and I and Colin because we are in this process and financing is one of the key things. But I can tell you now that I cannot count on 2 hands the number of times buyers have went out and messed with their credit score during the process of buying a home.
Well, I mean, let's just talk about people, just basic stories like your story is someone that's getting ready to close in 2 days. So they go out and open a credit card with the furniture company and buy all the furniture for their house, throw off their debt to income ratio, then they can't close.
Yes.
Or that you pull up to the title company to close it and your client drives up with their brand new car that they just bought because they wanted to have a new car for their new garage. And now their debt to income ratio is messed up.
Or literally one that we had earlier this year where the girl quit her job 3 days before closing.
Yes.
So no income. So here's a little hint for you out there. Yes, they run your credit when you get approved, but they also do it the day of closing again. So don't do anything.
Well, I think the phrase that we use in today's day and age is trust but verify. Guess what a lender is going to do?
Yeah.
They don't even worry about trusting. They're going to verify. Then they're going to verify again.
And then one last time they're going to verify. Yeah. I mean, if you were though, I tell people all the time, think about this. If Joe was going to loan me $300,000 to buy a house, you think he's going to crawl up my butt and look at all of my financial ability?
There would be a rectal tent in there, and you would have smoke coming out for me camping out, because
Right.
that's where I would be.
Yeah. So that's just one story. I mean, I told you one last night where a buyer or a seller the night before closing was so emotionally attached to her house that she called me and said, I can't do this sale tomorrow. This is the only house my little Johnny grew up in. And, I've got pictures of him standing on the stairs and blah, 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 blah. And it was an emotional factor. Yeah. And we had to, quote unquote, talk her off the cliff the night before closing. These things are things that people don't see, that agents deal with literally on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. I mean, you and I start our morning early. We always start outside talking about what we're going to do today. And it's amazing that between you and I, we have 2, maybe 3 things. But by the end of the day, we look back and go, well, we got 4 phone calls from this guy and 1 call from an agent and 3 calls from a student, because the process it's amazingly so haphazard that sometimes I'm amazed when we close. We're like, holy shit, we actually closed that.
Yeah, it's more of a testament that anything ever gets closed.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly don't. I think more often than not, there's a lot more peril involved in a process than people even realize. Maybe even your own clients don't realize how thin a line it is. We are just, it's like trying to bring a spaceship back into the atmosphere. I mean, if you're at the wrong angle, you're going to just bounce off into space and the whole thing's done.
Yeah, you would be surprised at how many things also, like you said, unbeknownst to your own client, that get solved because things pop up, things happen, and you can't plan it. And you and I both know, as the director and the business development guy for Real University, students all the time want to go, well, I want to know the whole process. So do I, and I've been doing this 23 years. I would love the process.
I will tell you, I just had that conversation last night with my wife, and because she just started a new job. I mean, it's the same basic thing that she's been doing for 25 years, but it's in a new place. Right. And she is almost obsessive about wanting to be the person that knows everything from day one. And I try to explain to her, it is impossible to know all of it on day one, because you only gain the knowledge of what you're doing through experience. And there is no substitute for experience. You don't gain it without time. You have to have time there to gain enough experience to understand what's going on.
That's another good point when we talk about the managing broker. And for those of you out there eavesdropping, the managing broker, for lack of a better word, is the boss. Most states that we are involved with, 20 of them, the requirement to be the boss is so minimal that produces a lot of havoc. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, the old adage of what's the 10,000 hours to be a professional. So even if you work 40 hours a week, that's 2,000 hours a year. That's 5 years. All right. State of Indiana only requires 2 years of experience to be the boss.
Yep.
You haven't seen everything. There's still shit that agents have asked me after 23 years. I'm like, I have not the slightest idea. Never seen this yet, and it's amazing. You're sitting out there thinking, what could happen that I haven't seen? Trust me, there is stuff that goes on and you're like, I have no idea. I don't know. Now I can rely on my good comprehension of the state laws because of the school, and we teach the state laws, that I can decipher out the pathway to get to the right answer. But yeah, there's still stuff that happens that just goes beyond comprehension, like the couple that you were talking about. We've literally had that happen where the lady quit her job 3 days before closing and then was shocked that she couldn't buy the new house.
In that shock, I know. I am more shocked that she was shocked. I mean, that whole thing, really, it's a very simple concept. Hey, you are no longer employed. How is it you plan on paying what you're signing up for?
You have no income. Oh, well, I'll get another job. Well, good. Then reapply because this deal now is dead.
Yeah.
So a good reality show, I think, would be taking a client from day one to day closing and then show the real estate agent what they are literally doing behind the scenes so that you guys can see phone calls at 10:30 p.m. from the other agent where the seller who was supposed to close tomorrow, his mother has died and is now leaving town and won't be here to sign. Well, yeah, we can solve the problem. We can get a mobile closer. We can get a power of attorney, but we're not going to do it before tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that happens. And people are like, well, I sell bikes. I've sold bikes for 20 years. I can sell this house. Really? Have you got the contracts? Have you got the showing platform to allow people in your house? When are you going to do open houses? When are you going to call the other buyer that looked at your house and now something's missing out of the house? So you've got to go back through all the records to figure out who was in there at what time, which we can do now, and figure out what happened.
Well, and then even beyond that, odds are you probably have a regular job that you are beholden to. Where do you find the time to do all of this?
Yeah.
Even if you have the fundamental knowledge, where do you find the time? And that is what time is that only commodity that we can't gain more of. Time is finite for us. So
we need, I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm getting amped up here. Maybe it's the coffee.
Might be.
We need to think about a reality show that deals with the process of blah, 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 and ends with, we bought the house, and not starts with, I bought this house and now I'm going to rehab it and fictitiously show you how much hundreds of thousands of dollars I'm going to make. I wonder if a true reality show would actually scare people if they thought about it.
Well, I think it would scare people that are kicking tires.
Yeah. It would be a good thing for people entering the field if people thought about getting in the field of real estate, because one of the things I will tell you that is I absolutely love about this career. This is probably bar none. They talk about, well, make your own hours, unlimited pay, flexibility. What I love about it is day to day is different every day. You cannot hardly plan an 8-hour day when you're in the Department of Real Estate.
No, you can't.
And that's what I absolutely love. The idea of solving a problem. Here's some scenarios. We've got problems. Sometimes problems can't be solved. And you run into that. I had one the other day where the client said, my husband has on vacation and won't sign a power of attorney because he doesn't trust anybody well enough to give him power of attorney. What do we do? Well, okay, there's no answer here. If no one will sign for him and he is not here to sign, the only answer is we move the closing until he gets back.
Yep.
So that's the kind of thing that I really enjoy. And that if you like that kind of stuff, then potentially real estate would be a good business for you, simply because of you never know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. It's like the Forrest Gump effect. It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Well, I know that I've gone to work before in dress shoes, and by the end of the day, I was walking a field with a farmer, and I remember him looking down at me, and he's like, "Where's your shoes at, boy?" And I'm like, "Got them on." He's like, "No, those aren't shoes." And he held his foot up, and he had like dingo boots on. He's like, "These are shoes." And that's literally what I needed to walk in his field, because he wanted to sell his farm and he wanted me to see the farm.
Yeah.
So I went to work that day thinking, I'm going to sit in the office and talk to people. Ended up walking a 4-acre farm that this guy wanted to sell. So that's the kind of cool. I guess you got to start putting boots in your truck so that you always got something. You never know. I've got my passport. I got my passport, my extra pair of socks. I'm ready to go.
Well, then you're ready to go north of I-70. Hooray.
Yeah. For me, going north of I-70, I do have to get my passport approved. So, but if you're out there and think that this might be an interesting thing, leave us a comment down there. I think it'd be kind of cool to maybe look at doing a reality show of that. One of two things would happen. It would either bring a huge spotlight on the industry and everybody would go, "Holy crap," or it would turn out horribly wrong and they would go, "Oh, this guy's a moron. We don't want to use him." One of the two, or both. Actually, that has happened before too. I've had things like, here's one. I had one where my own seller threatened to fight me. My own client. Now, I was much younger and was not as emotionally stable as I am in today's world. And I literally told the dude, "I know where you live, remember? I'll be right up." So
I was just there. I just put a sign in the yard.
Yeah, I know where you live. So those kind of things, that would have, to have a camera on that would have been either very scary or very eye-opening to a lot of people, where an agent got physically threatened because his offer, which by the way he accepted, did not net him enough money, and somehow that was my fault.
Well, everything's your fault.
Yes. That's the other thing. You've got to have very broad shoulders, because there's a lot of things that get hoisted upon these shoulders when people go, "Well, the agent didn't bring the buyer, or the agent didn't have an open house, or the agent didn't show it enough time, or perhaps your house is ugly."
It's possible. That is possible.
So I think that would be cool. Also, I want to remind you guys, please hit the subscribe button. This is episode 1 of year 2. So we've been around here now for a while. So hit the subscribe button. If you have an interest in becoming the 4th seat, and today it would have been the 3rd seat, Colin's still out on assignment.
He's on assignment, yes.
Put a comment down below, and our producer, i.e. that guy,
me, yeah,
we'll get a hold of you to get you on the show, and we can do this via remote, so you don't even have to come. Well, it would be hard because Joe's in one place, I'm in one place, which proves my point. So hit the like button and the subscribe button. I think we need to put some thought into that. I think that would be interesting.
I agree. I think we could have a very interesting show.
Yeah, to see what literally goes on behind that. And it would be the other problem that I think with some of the reality shows. Now, I did a reality show way back in '09 for WHMB 23 TV. It was called King of the Rehab, where we actually had a contest with 5 guys that rehab. But the point being is, I think some of the reality that's actually you see in these reality shows are crafted to be interesting. I'm here to tell you now, we would not have to craft anything because the number of things that Joe can tell you about closings or I can tell you would literally scare somebody into the process.
It scares me, and I'm fearless.
Yeah. By the way, that guy that I walked his farm, I actually closed with him wearing bib overalls because he bought me a pair of bib overalls thinking that the city boy needs some real clothes. So when we went to closing, I literally was wearing bib overalls. Here's another drama thing that brought me up to this point. I had an agent that went to a closing once and was with a well-known, reputable company here in Indianapolis, was the other side. That other side's agent called me and told me that my agent went to closing in jeans and that this was a suit and tie industry. And I politely told him how he was wrong and told him the story about the farmer that I closed in bib overalls. So it's that kind of stuff. I mean, that happened after the closing. The other agent basically called and was a tattletale because my agent was wearing jeans and a polo, didn't have a jacket on at closing. So that kind of drama. We had a agent that had her name on the side of a door of her car. When you do that, that is great advertising. But
when you act a fool, you get caught.
When you act a fool, as Joe would put it, I get the phone call saying, I just saw one of your agents in the McDonald's line yelling at the people with her door standing wide open, got out of the car and started yelling. And I'm just calling you to let you know that if your agents are acting like that, how do we trust your company? That kind of drama is what I'm saying is you can't plan for that. You know, I was in the business almost 20 years at that point. In the previous 19 years, I had never had that. In the last 4 years, I've had 2 people call about other agents they've done deals with. One calling about the guy wearing jeans and one calling because the driver, as Joe put it, was acting a fool with my phone number on the side of her car.
Yep. There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always something. And the reality of realty doesn't really require any fictitious elements like you see on TV.
It would definitely be a real estate reality. That's a whole bunch of words in there. It's got to be reality somewhere. So, well, Joe, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish this cigar here and just wait for the phone to call because I know it's going to call. It's about time. Any last closing statements?
No, just give us your ideas. If you think this is a good idea, if you want to invest in something like that, let us know. Let's make this happen. Let's do something interesting.
I do have one last comment. How's the new boat?
Love the boat.
Joe got a new boat. We'll have to get out on that boat sometime.
We need to do a podcast from the boat.
Let's do a live podcast. Maybe we can get a live podcast. My luck would be I would drop something in the water.
Yes.
So let it be known now,
you
Joe,
doing that.
if we do a podcast on the boat, I'm holding you liable for all the equipment.
Yeah.
All right.
It makes it interesting,
man.
All righty. Harumph.